Salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the Perspectives Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Littyyy Bro Flacko. Here is my co-host to my side, Holden Stephan Roy. Holden, say hi, Holden.
Hi, Holden.
There we go. And today we've got a very special guest. Um, uh, from what I understand, pretty much what I could say about the man is he's a Renaissance man. He's a man who wears many hats, does many things. Holden, in a previous interview, was trying to convince him that he should consider himself
A visionary.
Was the word, Holden? A visionary. There we go. He
is a visionary.
He is a visionary. You consider yourself a project manager or a manager, if I'm not mistaken, amongst many titles, right, Olivier? Olivier.
Yes.
I will not brutalize your last name, so I'm gonna let Holden take over right there
It's
and
Olivier
introduce
Brault.
your name properly.
Bro.
Olivier Brault.
I mean, I'm not even probably sure I'm
Alright.
saying it that good because my accent's what it is.
Very
I'ma
simple.
work
Very
on it.
simple. Very simple. You call your brother bro.
Yeah.
This is exactly how you pronounce it.
Olivier
because
Brault.
you don't pronounce it.
See, that's an Anglo mistake.
Trust me, I'll make some French mistakes too. Some Franco mistakes.
So yeah, today our guest is Olivier Brault.
Woo!
Thanks for receiving me. Really appreciate it.
Word, no, it's a pleasure to have you here. You know what I mean? From what I understand, Holden told me that he had interviewed you before, right? Montreal shit. We are on EOW Network, and you are a part of EOW family, EOW Montreal again, right? Or Quebec, right? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
It used to
Yeah.
be in a week Montreal before, but since we want to cover more than just the city, the whole province, we changed to Quebec.
Right.
It's a good
That
move.
makes perfect sense. Yeah, no, that's wild, more logical. But the point is, right? Like this makes perfect sense, and like we're really happy to have you. So right, our show is a little bit different than like when Holden did his show with you, right? On this show, we give like our origin story, right? Because I guess like I think I'm a superhero. You know what I'm saying? So, so right. What we do is we talk about how we met, me and Holden, and how this show came about, which is right. I was doing Littyyy Bro's project volume 1 with fellow EOW alumni Jess James Figueroa, right? And the engineer for the project is the Homer, the homie, the Homer, the Homer. The homie Merker Miyagi, right? And he's from up there. And I always say that he might as well be from New York, though, right? Because he's like an engineer that like he works with a lot of people, but he doesn't promote their shit, right? Because if you promote one person, you got to promote everybody. And next thing you know, you're promoting a bunch of shit that you really don't like, you know? So he doesn't really promote stuff that he works so much, but he promoted our shit. And that made Holden take notice because Holden's like, wait, hold on a minute. Like Merker never promotes the shit that, you know, he's like working on. He hardly ever promotes much of anything, right? So it makes him take notice. He checks out the video. He leaves he does a review on the album. And when he does a review on the album, I'm like, this is fantastic. I was like, you know, in the comments, I'm like, yo, we should do like an interview. And he was like, I was thinking about asking you to interview. And I was like, man, this is fantastic. So we do an interview. And after the interview, Olivier, I felt like I went to fucking therapy, I tell you. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, this guy is good. This guy's good at what he does. Let me bring some friends of mine to the table and let's do something together. And we're on
This is
like
49.
a 2-year journey now.
Episode
We're
49.
episode 49 right now. You know,
what you're bringing to the table is absolutely great, though. You're bringing something different. You're going through a lot of phases through the artist's life or the person's life. So no, that's really great.
Yeah, and I think that it's dope that we're both from like totally different places and we didn't know each other, right? Like we just are two guys who are doing their own thing, right, in two different cities in the world, and like met online, and we're like, yo, we should do something together. And here we are 2 years later. Like, you know,
Facts.
so right. So beautiful. So that's the origin story, right? So Holden likes to open up with his like usual questions, right? But I always cut him off, and I like to set it off with, why don't you tell people, typical New Yorker, why don't you tell people your name, what you're known as, your aliases, right? Tell them where you're from, and then tell them where your parents are from.
Wow. So I don't want to sound boring, but no aliases. Olivier Brault is literally like just the name that I go by.
He doesn't need
A lot
an
of people call me
alias.
Bro because, as I said, like, there you go. I really don't need it at all. Wow, man, I've been having so many hats since, like you said, I'm 36. I started a business plan when I was 17, and I never stopped since then. So doing journalism, doing managing sponsorship events, having a role in End of the Week, and now we incorporated End of the Week Quebec, so we're having a lot of branches over there. So, I mean, I've just been doing a lot of things behind closed door, if I could say it like that. And this is actually how I met Holden.
But yeah, so where are you from then, and where are your parents from?
I'm from Montreal, born and raised. I lived on the South Shore for a while, but I was born in the west side of Montreal, Saint Genevieve. And then I grew in RDP for a while, then moved to the South Shore. But I was always like close to Montreal. Like I'm a city guy, literally. And my mom still. I say my mom because I haven't seen my father since I was 3. So for me, my parents is only her. So for her, she was born, raised in Montreal. She lived on South Shore as well. So we never really left that city. This is most likely why I'm not really like c'est quoi la campagne en français, en anglais, Holden? What's campagne
Country?
in English? You know, country, right? Like I've never really been like a country kind of guy. That's why New York, like, really, like, it answers a lot of my needs. So this is why I'm often in your city, actually.
Yeah.
Word. Nah, I mean, I can empathize as a city boy myself. But you finish it up. Where are your parents from? They're from
the same place. Same place.
Yeah, mom's from the same place. Like she grew in the South Shore, St. Hubert's, and then, but me and her, we mostly lived our lives.
Like Saint-Hubert is like if you picture Montreal and you hop across the river, it's there. It's like basically Montreal.
Word.
Like we would call them a Montreal
like
rapper for the sake of simplicity.
Queens and the Bronx to Manhattan.
Yeah,
like it's just a little bridge away.
Kind of.
Yeah,
and like for example, the South Shore, I see whenever I go to New York and then I go to Jersey, I see Jersey kind of like the South Shore.
Okay,
that's a better way. That's a better reputational way to spin it, though. He's more facts with that.
Word. I mean, Jersey City's not. Let me tell you something. I constantly tell people, like, as a New Yorker, I'm like, we can trade Staten Island to New Jersey, and we'll take Jersey City.
Wow.
Because
What's
they're
wrong
close.
with Staten Island?
Staten Island. I mean, you know, it's Staten Island. Like Wu-Tang is the only saving grace. You know what I mean? Like, and at this point, I don't think that's like enough of a saving grace. Like that's in the past, and it's kind of like, what has Staten Island done for the city lately? And you know, Jersey City is connected by the PATH train. So like, it's always, to New Yorkers, it's always like, can I get to you by train? Like nobody wants to get on the ferry, you know? So like, it's like, yo, we're willing to trade away Staten Island if we gain Jersey City to Jersey.
That's amazing.
I've actually been a lot more to Jersey City. I've never been to Staten Island. Never.
Yeah, nah, Staten Island's an inconvenient place to go because you got to take a ferry if you don't have a vehicle. And even if you have a vehicle, you then have to take like one of the shittiest bridges in the whole city that like sways while you're up there. You feel almost like, whoa, am I gonna die? Like you shouldn't feel like that on a bridge. You know, you should feel like, oh, I'm safe. This is well constructed. You know, like that. So there's a lot of things going against Staten Island.
Facts.
So Holden.
Yeah. So now we're going to do the proper open it up question thing. I'm pretty sure I asked you this the last time, but we're going to do it again still. It's for this side of the world. It's a little bit of a story. It starts with my girlfriend, and she's washing the dishes one time. and she got her phone out playing that Black Eyed Peas song. I got a feeling, ooh. She vibing, she dancing, she doing her thing. And I look at her and I go, when in the world did this song become chores music? Like, if you think about this track and you run it back about 10 years or so, middle of the night, Montreal, wherever you are in the world, because I tested this song everywhere. Wherever you are in the world, this song is the middle of the night banger of everybody's celebration moments. And it's always celebration moments of happiness and joy. Run it 10 years in the future. The song doesn't change at all because it's a song, right? But we change so much as people that the context of how our relationship with the song evolves is that it goes from being the celebration song to the I'm doing some super boring stuff like working out or chores or whatever, and I wish I was celebrating. So it made me realize that, like, you know, as time goes on, the relationship changes, and it got me thinking about the young people. They be out there partying and celebrating right now. They don't know that they are learning the future soundtrack to their chores music in their life. Like, they don't know that when I heard Pop Smoke, it became chores music for me, because it just moves to that right away as you get older. Like, and then I started thinking about all of the interviews and the musical journeys and the way that people kind of approach the conversation, and everybody's story always seems to start in the same place. It's this like adolescent phase of, yo, I first discovered hip hop and my first favorite song, or I started writing at this age, and it's always this, like, you know, a little bit into the story. And I say that because music hits us from like the very beginning. Like, if you run it back to like whatever hospital you came out of Montreal and you popped out, there's probably some music playing in the room, and a little baby Olivier is kind of you know, absorbing those sound waves, even if you don't remember what that is. And like, I can think about being super young, like being like 5 up in the apartment in Côte Saint-Luc and whatnot. And we got like my dad's got the gray boxes all over the living room, right? The preamp and the amp and the tape deck and the radios and the wires going everywhere to the speakers, giving us that like at home surround sound experience while he busted out his Led Zeppelin tapes and stuff of that nature in the daytime. But at the night, we have all that club mix, MC Mario straight from the clubs in Montreal live going on at night times. My mom's, it's more like, you know, Disney's and musicals and love songs and discos and this whole other vibe that's completely different. And both of these things are happening at the same time, and I have no control over it, plus the radios and all the other stuff that's happening. And this stuff really shapes you and impacts you in a huge way, all the way to your grown-up self. So with that, Olivier, I believe that's where the journey really starts. And I was hoping you could bring us back to the youngest Olivier Brault you can remember being, and break down a little bit what it sounded like to be you before you had any control over the music in your life.
Wow. Damn, I was you see, when I was a kid, I started listening to hip hop, I think when I was whenever No Way Out and I'll Be Missing You came out is when I really got into hip hop. So that's what, 97, I think, 97, 98.
97.
Oh,
no, 97.
Before that 97.
96, 97.
So, yeah, because Biggie died in 97. That song was for him. So, I mean, it had to be exactly within the same year.
Yep.
And you see, before I got into that, I was a kid where just for the fun of it, I was doing a lot of researches, like on, I don't know, Christopher Columbus, on any kind of subject that you could think of. I was just reading books and do like work, but on my own, not for school, for me. So whenever I discovered hip hop with that song, you see that I'll Be Missing You song. And I don't know if you know a lot of French rap. And when I'm not talking about French from Montreal, I'm talking about French from France. But the group I Am that group definitely has kind of like the same reputation in the world Wu-Tang has, if I can compare. And I bought both for my birthday. And from that point, I started to do whatever I was doing in all the researches in any subjects into hip hop, into raps predominantly, because I didn't know hip hop at that time. I knew rap, I knew the music, I didn't know the culture. So that's when I got it. And from that point, I just started to just dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And I became like
how old
a
are you?
fan.
So like
that was like,
so if that was like 97 or 6, around that age,
I would say like 13.
Okay. So before that, what kind of music was around you? Like before the hip hop hit you?
None.
It was just like
See,
silent.
that's the thing. my mom was not really somebody who had like a vinyl player or record player or even CDs. Like she was listening to the music that when we were going in the car to like hockey practices or whatnot or anything.
Well, that's
Like,
kind of important though, because I remember that. Like, I remember that in my life growing up. Right, is like my father would listen to a certain type of music, my mother would listen to a certain type of music, but in the car they would always kind of tune into this one like kind of pop radio station. So like, was it like in the car? Did she play like the pop radio station, or maybe some classical music or something like that?
no, it was more the pop one. It was more the pop one.
Okay.
Like we have Sikwa in Montreal, and then we have 107.3 FM Rhythm FM, which is like normal. I would say like normal
Top
radio
40.
stations, top 40 kind of radio station.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like Celine Dion kind of thing. Like I wasn't really.
Yeah.
My mom wasn't really into music, but I wasn't either.
Guys,
like I was
don't
listening to all of
disrespect
this.
Celine
I'm
Dion.
not.
guys.
It's not
No, I
that.
can't.
It's not disrespect of it. But when he says that, I picture like all the stuff that was played next to Celine Dion. So it's not her. It's just you got to picture what surrounds it.
I
Yeah,
can't. But
a lot
Yeah.
of different French and English artists were going down. But that's the musical background that I had, was like I didn't really have one. And then when I heard that I'll Be Missing You song, I started like always wanted to raise the volume whenever I heard it on the radio, and my mom was there and stuff, even at home.
It did get a
So
lot of
that's when
pop
whenever
play
she-
here, eh?
Huh?
It really
It
was
was-
all
it was-
over the
yeah, it was-
radio here. And now that
it
I'm
was a
thinking
big
back,
song,
That song
period.
It was
That
everywhere.
song was it was a big song, period. I could tell you when it premiered, right? Because where would it premiere, right? In New York City on Hot 97 radio, you know? And I remember when it premiered, and like the night that it premiered, Funkmaster Flex playing it and like recording it on tape and having it on my Walkman the next day at school and shit. And like I remember that, but that song was really big. Like it was big when like the way that Flex played it, it was like, yo, this song, right, is like, and everybody felt like, I think we all felt so much like sadness about Biggie, and the song was so kind of like sincere but like good, like also, you know what I mean? Like it was that it was just like a big song, and it played on the radio all the time, and it played everywhere, like all over the country. So it doesn't surprise me that it played like all over Canada radio. Like I'm pretty sure that it's one of the like Puffy's biggest songs ever type thing.
It has to. And imagine you knew Biggie, you were familiar. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who the song was for, but I still understood that this song was a classic. Like it was like, and it's not like, I don't even consider it one of the greatest hip hop songs now, like 20 years later. But at that time, to me, like it was one of the best songs I've ever heard. Yeah. And then the funny thing about that is that the both two albums that I got at the same time, like it has nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other. But it's like you're buying a Wu-Tang album and a Puffy album. Like it really doesn't sound alike. And so my inauguration to rap music was that you can go in all types of direction.
That's actually kind of a blessing, right? Because you got exposed to like top tier pop and top tier underground right at the beginning.
Yeah.
It helped me also understand that, like, because I wasn't hearing I Am on the radio, but I was hearing Puff on the radio. So I understood that if I'm able to get an album from somebody that is not on the radio, it means that there's a lot more out there than what I'm hearing right now. Ooh. And then at that point, like I Am was just insanely present in Montreal and Quebec.
So it's crazy. Wait, which Nas's I Am, you mean, right?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you're talking about I Am the group. The group
yes.
You were saying. Right. Okay. Copy.
So like.
Yeah, and so they were like, you said like Wu-Tang, so you mean that in the sense of like they were big, Hope big, but not like radio pop big.
That's exactly it. In the importance they have in the French scene, and I'm not talking in French, I'm talking about in the whole world. Every country in the world that speaks French and that listens to rap, they know that group. The same way everybody in the world that listens to rap in English knows Wu-Tang. Whether they like it or not, they know the group. They know.
I was literally sharing a post of Residentes today, and which is like, you know, like if you're like Latin and like you were into hip hop, you knew who the fuck he was. It's just one of those guys that like has always, you know, been around type shit. So it's like, I understand what you mean. That they're kind of like the representation of like an era and an area, right?
Definitely.
Right.